Welcome to Zentiva Sustainability Podcast. At Zentiva, we believe that each and every one of us can contribute to taking care of our planet and do what we can to protect it so that future generations can enjoy life as much as we do. We act today for a sustainable tomorrow, and as part of our environmental pathway, we find it important to educate and empower our associates, and we warmly invite you to join us and follow our new initiative, the Zentiva Sustainability Podcast, with a series of episodes where experts explain different areas of environmental protection.
I'm Zofia Kurek-Maciejewicz, Communication Head at Zentiva Poland. During today's episode, we will be discussing the topic of green product design. We will learn about new approaches which support creation and access to products with lower environmental impact. I would like to welcome and introduce our guest, Sebastian Teilemit, President of EcoVamet, who together with the team of his co-workers offers an innovative life cycle assessment solution to evaluate the carbon footprint of health, biologic and chemical products as a basic step on the way to minimize their environmental footprint. Hello, Sebastian. Thank you for accepting the invitation to our podcast.
Thanks a lot for the invitation. We are very happy to be with you this morning.
All right. So let's start from the basic. Could you tell us what is a green product and what is a green product design?
Yes, that's a good start. Effectively, it means that when we speak about green products, we generally need to compare that product versus what is the standard product that we are using for that. And this is the first point. The second point for a green product, it means that if you want to claim a green benefit, it means that you have to measure before the environmental impact of this product. And as I said, you need to measure it and to compare it with the standard product or the standard practice on the market. And it makes me coming to the third point to define a green product is the fact that you need also to define what is the use of the product. So if we take a medicine, for instance, you need to define what is the benefit for the patient. Do you want to measure the environmental footprint of a product to remove pain for a patient during a certain amount of time, or a medicine to cure a disease? And at the end, we come with three very important points when we are speaking about green products. The first point is, what is the benefit you want to measure to cure a disease, to travel from point A to point B, and whatever. Then you need to measure the environmental footprint to provide this service, to provide this benefit, to cure this disease. And then you need to compare. And when you have done that, you can claim at the end that this product is greener than the other product to provide these benefits.
How are the companies capable of calculating this environmental footprint of the products? The life cycle is a very complex cycle. For instance, we need to take into consideration the consumers' different behaviors. Yeah.
And the methodology to do it is the life cycle assessment, that is generally referred as LCA. And this is a methodology which is standardized. There is the ISO norms to define how to perform this life cycle assessment. And to make it simple, what we do during a life cycle assessment is we look at all the life cycle stages of the full life of a product. So production of the raw materials, production of the product, transportation, use, and end of life. And for each of those life cycle steps, we look at what are the consumed materials, the consumed energies, the transportation that are required, the quantities of waste, how we manage those waste, and so on. So you cut in small pieces the life cycle of your product. And for each of these piece, you are looking at what you need in terms of energy, and all those needs have an environmental impact. When you are consuming energy, when you are consuming solvent, when you are producing waste, you have impacts, and you can find those impacts in databases. And at the end, you can calculate this way the environmental footprint of your product. Maybe something to mention. It's when you calculate the environmental footprint of a product, you can calculate different impacts. The most common that everybody knows is the carbon footprint, the climate change impact, indeed. This is the most well-known impact and also probably the most robust impact to measure. But indeed, if you look at the European methodology, the PEF methodology, they define up to 16 impacts. One of them is climate change, but you have toxicity, ecotoxicity, eutrophication, so all the impacts to the environment or to humans, but also you have the resources depletion, the fact that minerals, metals, water are resources that are used to make products and medicines and so on. But of course, generally within EcoVamed, we recommend to start with the most robust impact, carbon footprint. It allows to have a most robust calculation, and then step by step, when you are more advanced, when you start to define some actions to reduce your impact, you can look at other impacts to ensure that you are not reducing one but increasing another impact.
Thank you for your answer. So let's go more into details. Companies would like to shift their products into more environmental. They measure. And what are the next steps? What are the actions they need to undertake? I understand that it's about collaboration with the partners, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Indeed, when you have measured the environmental impact of a product, then you need to rank what are the main contributors of the environmental impact. For instance, for medicine, you will find, for instance, the production of the active pharmaceutical ingredient, the ingredient that make the medicines active to the patient. You may have some excipients. You may have also some contribution from the packaging. It can be glass packaging or cardboard or blisters or whatever, and so on. You can also have the use phase for injectable medicines. For instance, the use phase is requiring medical devices, and those medical devices, they also have an impact because you need to produce them, and after you need to treat them as a waste. So when you do a life cycle assessment, at the end, you have not only one figure, you not only have one carbon footprint, but you have some details, some detailed emissions of each contributors. And the objective is to define and to find what are the main contributors to your carbon footprint, the main contributors to the other environmental impacts. And then you can look at them one by one and try to think, how can I reduce the environmental impact, for instance, of my glass vial for an injectable medicine? So you can reduce its waste, or you can look at the suppliers to check if they can use less energy to make this glass vial, or you can check many things. But as you mentioned, most of the time the suppliers are key, because in most industries, and in the pharmaceutical industry this is the same, more than 50% of the environmental impact of a product is coming from the supplier. And if you look at the first supplier, it's the same. The first supplier of a pharmaceutical company, half or more than half, sometimes even 70 or 80% of its impact is coming from the supplier. You need to work with your supplier and the supplier of the supplier and so on. So it's a very collaborative approach if you want really to decrease your carbon footprint and, generally speaking, to decrease your environmental footprint.
All right, so it's about sustainability. It's always about a collaborative effort. Yes, I believe. And Sebastian, let's maybe try to inspire others. Could you name one of the recent innovations, green product design, that caught your attention, something most impressive lately that could inspire our listeners to follow?
I would say that generally these are simple ideas that makes really important innovation in terms of environmental footprint. Simple ideas doesn't mean that it's easy to make. Because in the medical industry or in hospitals, things are highly regulated for the safety of patients, and it's very good. Nobody is against that. But of course, when it's highly regulated, any changes is very difficult. So generally, we said try to have simple ideas because the implementation will be complex. So don't start with complex ideas at the beginning, otherwise everything is too complex. And as an example, we recently worked on some medical devices to improve the end of life of those medical devices. So basically the treatment of their waste. And we realized that in Europe, if you are, for instance, recycling the tubings, the small PVC tubings that are used for masks in hospitals when you need oxygen, if you recycle those tubings, as it is already done in Belgium, and if you do it at the European level, only these simple and small action, I would say, because it's really a small part of the medical device world, you can save several tens of thousands tons of CO2 per year with something that is real because it's already existing. You already have some players doing that. So you can find like that many examples of simple things that can have a high impact if they are implemented at the global level, I would say.
Wow, this is really impressive. Thank you for this example. Thank you, Sebastian, for taking us on this journey about how to create sustainable value across the life cycle of the products. And thank you to all of you for listening.
Thank you, Sofia.